If you are tackling English for university, for research, or maybe for a dynamic professional setting, you know that moment, you've got the grammar down, but then a complex multi-syllable word just appears on the page and your comprehension stalls.
Right.
Today, we're sharing a strategy that really cuts through that complexity. We're going right to the structural foundation of the language, and we're using the inspiring RuiEnglish technique.
That's right. And this isn't about, brute force memorization. We want to give you a powerful, really motivating shortcut to understanding sophisticated academic vocabulary almost instantly.
So what's the secret?
The secret is morphological analysis. It's about breaking those long words down into small, recognizable building blocks. We're talking prefixes, roots, and suffixes. If you can see the component pieces, you can decode the entire meaning, and that can dramatically boost your success.
We frame this as a really empowering lesson tailored specifically for you.
Think of us as your guides, helping you unlock the architecture of English.
Yes. In this podcast, you'll explore English word formation examples that you can jot down on your formed word note cards.
These words, they appear naturally in conversations, and they won't always follow a strict order. So listen closely and capture them as they come.
Okay, let's look at our first foundation. We're starting with a root that governs agreement, identity, and structure. The root is hes-an.
This comes from the Latin signum, and it means to mark, indicate, or agree. It's incredibly practical. You see it everywhere, in law, in business, even just in everyday life.
And what's so fascinating is how that core meaning stays consistent, even when we start adding other parts to it.
Exactly. For sign-an, we are focusing on prefixes like co, which means together, d, meaning down or away, and re, meaning again. And then we'll add some crucial suffixes like for the person, or association for the process.
Okay, let's start with a word used constantly in finance. Cosigner. So we have co plus sign plus
Right. The person who signs together with someone else. It's clear, it's direct, the meaning's right there in the pieces.
And in a more formal academic or business context, you'll constantly see the word designation.
Yes. The prefix D often implies marking something out. So designation is the formal action or process of marking or indicating a specific identity or purpose.
Right. And as a learner, it's important to know why you would use a formal word like designation instead of just, say, label.
That's a great point.
If an organization gives a location a designation as a historical site, that means they have formally marked that status. It often has legal implications,
It absolutely does. It captures that formality and official purpose. Now, what about resigning?
Is, again, sign is agree. So literally signing again.
But in common usage, it means signing a document to quit a job. You're sort of signing away your position.
And of course, there's the designer, the person who marks or plans a creation. But here's where this technique becomes a really edifying shortcut. We mentioned cosigner, and you might hear the action, co-signing. But you almost never hear the noun co-signation.
That is a key nugget for you to capture. Knowing that co-signation is linguistically possible, but, well, just not standard is so empowering.
Why is that?
Because it tells you to focus on the common variants, like designation and co-signing. It ensures your spoken and written English sounds natural. You avoid using a word that native speakers would find pretty unusual.
So this lesson improves your usage, not just your reading comprehension.
That's the goal.
Okay, so if Saijin gave us formality and agreement, let's move toward the act of critical analysis and observation. This is just fundamental to academic life.
Right. Our next two roots are all about shifting perspective and uncovering knowledge. We'll begin with VW, which is simply to look or to see.
And we're using affixes like re, pre, and over, combined with suffixes like ing, and that very useful one, able.
And the words these combinations create are all about critical examination. A reviewer, for instance.
The person who looks again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To check, to analyze something critically. In scholarly publishing, the role of the reviewer is just paramount.
And what about planning? We see the word previewing.
The action or process of seeing before. If you're previewing a complex data set, you're getting a first look before the main analysis starts. These words are common, but understanding their parts makes them so much stickier in your memory.
We also see words like overviewable. That one feels less common.
It is less common, but it's immediately clear, isn't it? Able to be looked over.
Capable of a general inspection.
Right. If a complex system is overviewable, a new team member can grasp the basics easily.
I appreciate that because as a learner, sometimes I see those less common words and I think I've missed something. But you're showing us that if we trust the root, the meaning is self-evident.
Exactly. Trust the components. Now let's contrast VU with cover, our second root here, which means to hide.
Okay, so here we'll use prefixes like un for opposite, dis for apart, and re again.
And this set generates some really conceptual words. Think about discovery.
The result of removing a covering, a finding. Whether it's discovering a new element in chemistry or a new trend in economics, it's about bringing what was hidden into the light.
And this is where we can offer a genuine linguistic nugget. Look at the word recovery. Re is, again, cover is hide. So recovery is literally the state of hiding again.
Wait, that feels like a contradiction. How did that come to mean getting well or getting something back? I need the why on that one.
It's an excellent question. The historical shift is really enriching. In Middle English, the idea of recovery meant returning to one's protective enclosure, one's safe state, your original protected cover.
So like getting back into your refuge.
That's it. And that idea of a refuge eventually morphed into getting well after an illness or reclaiming something you lost.
Yeah.
The shift was from a literal hiding place to a metaphorical safe state.
That is fascinating. Knowing that journey makes the modern definition stick so much better.
It grounds the language in human experience. And just like we saw with Sajien, we see usage patterns at play. The noun discovery is extremely common.
Yep.
But its direct morphological equivalent, uncovery, which would also mean the act of removing a covering, is so rare it's basically non-standard.
So discovery just won the competition for that meaning.
It did. And understanding which word won is just as empowering as knowing how the word is built. This helps you learn the language as it's actually used today.
Let's shift our focus now toward words that deal with abstract, high-level concepts. This is really the hallmark of sophisticated communication. We're talking about wisdom and structure, starting with the root light.
Which refers to illumination. And this is arguably our most inspiring set. It's central to fields like philosophy, history, theology. We combine light with affixes like en, to make, or put into, and de, away from.
The word enlightenment has to be the ultimate example here. You have en and light and the suffix dement, which signals a result or a state.
So the state or result of being made into a light. Wisdom, intellectual clarity. When you discuss the European Enlightenment, you're talking about a historical period where societies valued reason and, well, illumination.
And if you're in a history course or reading about political thought, mastering that word immediately validates your place in that high-level discussion. It's an immediate boost.
Absolutely.
Now, let's tackle a tricky one. Delighted. It seems to mean the opposite. D usually means taking away. So marked by having the light taken away. How does that equal pleasure?
This is another one that requires a quick look at the word's history. The confusion comes if you only think of light as illumination. In its older sense, delighted is related to being relieved of a burden or a weight, a figurative darkness.
Oh, so the prefix D, in this case, meant to remove the weight.
Yes, leaving you feeling lighthearted and joyful. That linguistic journey shows how emotional concepts often evolved from physical ones.
That's a fantastic distinction. It's not about turning off the lamp. It's about relieving a heavy burden. That makes delighted completely logical now.
And we also have the verb enlighten, the action of making someone into a light by sharing knowledge. This very activity is designed to enlighten you.
And before we move on, I want to zero in on form. This root means shape, structure, or arrangement. So crucial for describing processes and change in modern topics.
And our affixes here are into, per through, and trans or across, paired with key suffixes like demeration and
Let's pause on that abination suffix. When a learner sees that, what should they instantly know?
It's an absolute giveaway. It signals a noun that is the process or the result of the underlying action. It is probably the single most important academic noun suffix.
Excellent. Knowing that can transform your reading speed. For instance, information.
The result of giving shape or knowledge inside the mind. Good information is structured knowledge.
Then you have words that describe actions, like performance, the result of carrying out an action completely.
A company's performance reflects how well it executed its goals, its structure.
And one of the most energizing concepts in science and social change is transformation.
The result of changing across to a new shape. Whether it's the transformation of an energy grid or a business model, it all connects back to shifting structure.
And the people or things doing it are also common words, the performer and the transformer.
Right.
For our final set, let's bring all this structure and wisdom into action and interaction. We're using the fundamental root ACT, which means to do, drive, or perform.
And this takes us into the critical realms of policy science and social dynamics. The affixes are re, end, and inter.
Alongside those truly critical functional suffixes, ion for a noun, adumment for a noun, and a by for an adjective.
And understanding those suffixes isn't just about vocabulary, it's about reading grammatical flow. If you know that I've signals an adjective, you immediately understand the function of a word like reactive.
Okay, let's start with reaction. Again, act to do.
The result or action of doing again, responding to something. In supply chain logistics, the speed of the reaction to a shortage is critical.
And in policy studies, the word enactment is vital. And means doing into.
So enactment is this state or result of doing something into a law. We talk about the enactment of a new climate policy, meaning it has been formally put into action.
Which is so essential for any kind of collaborative work. And then there's interactive. Inter means between or among.
So interactive relates to doing something between or among others, like an interactive model for analyzing economic data.
Or an interactive lecture where students collaborate.
This is really where we see the payoff of the RuiEnglish technique, knowing that ion and ion are noun markers, and iom is an adjective marker, provides a massive key to understanding complex sentences.
You can anticipate the word's role even before you confirm its precise meaning.
Exactly. And once again, we use that knowledge to filter out non-standard language, while interaction and enactment are extremely common, successful terms.
Their theoretical counterparts, like reactment or interactment, are just not used.
They're non-standard. The language has chosen the versions that sound the most natural and efficient, and that recognition gives you immense confidence. You're not just prepared to read complex texts, you're prepared to produce natural, fluent American English.
Because you know which possibilities the language actually selected.
That is truly empowering.
What an enriching journey through the language. We started with that root of structure, sign in, and moved through observation with view W and cover.
And gain those surprising insights, like why recovery means getting well.
Exactly. And we finished by decoding wisdom with light and policy with ACT.
Absolutely. The success of this lesson is that we didn't just give you definitions, we gave you the blueprint. Morphological analysis is an amazing shortcut. By deeply understanding just 5 roots, you've unlocked the structural logic behind dozens of high-frequency academic words.
Making those formed word note cards incredibly valuable.
Yes.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to carry forward, something to keep that linguistic curiosity going based on this activity.
Considering the prefixes we emphasized today, co, de, re, in, per, and trans, how might you use a less common but perfectly logical combination? Perhaps informable, meaning able to be given knowledge, or overviewer, a person who looks over. How could you use one of those in a conversation or a document today to describe a system or an individual? Keep building and challenging the structure of the English language.